The galactic transit station hummed with the usual cacophony of 1,000 species conducting their daily business. Vendors hawked exotic wares, diplomats argued in clicks and whistles, and travelers rushed to catch their connections across the stars. Among them walked Marcus Chen, a 17-year-old human wearing a faded Earth jacket, his headphones blasting music that no one else in the galaxy would recognize. The Krevtar spotted him. First, 3 hulking reptilians, whose scales shimmered with bioluminescent patterns that signaled their amusement. Humans were still a novelty in this sector, their species having joined the galactic community barely 2 decades ago. To most aliens, they were soft, weak, and endlessly entertaining in their fragility. "Look!" hissed Vexnor, the largest of the 3, a human juvenile alone. His companions chittered with laughter. The Krevtar were known throughout the galaxy as bullies, not dangerous enough to warrant serious intervention, but aggressive enough to make weaker species uncomfortable. They had tested hundreds of species this way, and humans, with their thin skin and breakable bones, seemed like perfect targets. Marcus noticed them approaching but didn't break stride. He'd been warned about this, about species who thought humans were easy prey. His parents had given him the standard lecture before letting him travel alone to the education station on Proxima the 7th. Keep your head down. Don't engage. Report incidents to station security. But the Krevtar moved faster than expected. Vexnor's tail whipped out, striking Marcus across the face with enough force to send him stumbling backward. The teenager hit the ground hard, his headphones clattering across the deck plating. Blood welled from a cut above his eyebrow, trickling down his temple. The Krevtar erupted in booming laughter, drawing attention from nearby crowds. Some species looked away uncomfortably. Others watched with curiosity. Violence wasn't common on the station, but it happened, and most beings had learned to mind their own business. Marcus touched his forehead, his fingers coming away red. He stared at the blood for a moment, and something flickered across his face. Not fear, but resignation. "Oh no," he whispered. The words were barely audible, but something in his tone made Vexnor's laughter falter. The human wasn't crying, wasn't calling for help. He looked worried, but not for himself. Then the blood began to glow. It started as a faint luminescence, pulsing in rhythm with Marcus's heartbeat. The crimson droplets on the deck plating shimmered with an inner light that grew steadily brighter. Within seconds, every drop of human blood on the floor, on Marcus's face, even the trace amounts on Vexnor's tail, blazed with brilliant white radiance. An alarm shrieked through the station, unlike anything most species had ever heard. Emergency bulkheads began slamming shut across multiple sectors. Security drones descended from the ceiling, but they weren't converging on the Krevtar. They were forming a protective perimeter around the entire area. The crowd scattered in panic as holographic warnings materialized in thousands of languages. Human biological hazard detected. Xenocide protocols activated. Remain calm. Vexnor stumbled backward, his bioluminescent scales flickering with confusion and growing terror. What is this?" Marcus slowly stood, wiping the blood from his face. "You guys really don't read the briefings, do you?" He sighed heavily. "My blood just activated my emergency beacon." "Beacon?" Vexnor's voice cracked. "What beacon?" "Every human miner traveling in galactic space has one implanted at the cellular level," Marcus explained, his tone almost apologetic. "It's complicated, but basically, when our blood is exposed to open air outside of controlled medical conditions, it sends a signal." The station's public address system crackled to life, but the voice that emerged wasn't the usual calm administrator. It was cold, mechanical, and absolutely devoid of mercy. "Attention. Human distress beacon activated. Incident involves miner. Aggressor species identified. Krevtar. Estimating human military response arrival in 17 minutes. Station neutrality protocol suspended. All non-essential personnel evacuate affected sectors immediately." The remaining crowd didn't need to be told twice. Even species that had never encountered humans before understood what those words meant. The humans were coming, and they were angry. Vexnor's legs gave out and he collapsed to the deck. His companions had already fled, their massive forms surprisingly quick when motivated by pure terror. "Please," he begged, looking up at Marcus. "I didn't know. It was just a joke. Just hazing. We do it to everyone." Marcus knelt down beside the trembling Krevtar, and despite everything, there was genuine sympathy in his eyes. "I know, and I'm sorry. I really am." He gestured at the glowing blood. "But this isn't about me anymore. It's automatic. Once my blood hits air due to violence, the signal goes out. And when it involves someone my age..." He trailed off as the first human ship dropped out of FTL, its arrival so sudden that the station's structural fields groaned in protest. Then another appeared. And another. Within minutes, a dozen human warships surrounded the transit station, each one bristling with weapons that most galactic species had never seen outside of their worst nightmares. The station administrator's panicked voice joined the emergency broadcast. "This is Station Master Quillix. Human fleet, we have contained the situation. The aggressor is secured. Please, there is no need for negative, Station Master," came the crisp reply from the human flagship. "Assault on human miner detected. We will be boarding for extraction and investigation. Any resistance will be met with overwhelming force. We recommend full cooperation." Marcus stood looking down at Vexner one last time. "They'll probably just ban you from human-frequented stations and put you on a watch list. Maybe some fines. They won't kill you, we're not monsters. But they take this stuff really, really seriously. After the Zenth incident, we kind of have to." Security forces arrived then, moving with terrified efficiency to secure the Krevtar. Marcus was immediately surrounded by medical drones, scanning him for injuries beyond the cut on his forehead. As he was escorted toward the docking bay where the human rescue team was boarding, Marcus caught one last glimpse of Vexnor, now surrounded by security and looking utterly broken. Part of him felt bad for the alien. It really had probably been meant as just a cruel joke, the kind of thing the Krevtar had done 1,000 times before. But the galaxy had learned a hard lesson over the past 2 decades. Humans were protective of their young to a degree that most species found incomprehensible. Touch a human child and you didn't just face consequences. You faced the full might of a species that had clawed its way up from a death world, that had survived wars and plagues and extinction events, and that would burn the galaxy to ashes before they let harm come to their next generation. Marcus's mother was waiting in the docking bay, her face pale with worry. She crushed him in a hug that he'd normally find embarrassing, but right now he just held on. "I told you to be careful," she whispered. "I was," Marcus replied. "I really was. They didn't know." Behind them, the human fleet maintained its position, a silent promise and a warning to the watching galaxy. The message was clear, transmitted in every language on every frequency. We protect our children. All of them. Always. And the galaxy, watching from 1,000 different stations and worlds, took note once again of the species that loved too fiercely to ever be considered truly safe.